The future of Martin Zubimendi is getting interesting. Despite reports of Arsenal agreeing a £55 million deal, reports in Spain say elsewise. So today we'll break down all of the drama and the saga, get some breaking news from David Ornstein, as well as discussing Arsenal's defensive moves. We'll also get a massive update on the wide forwards, and get a Fabrizio Romano update on the future of Benjamin Sesko. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Baz14. Welcome back to Boys Channel, and I hope you guys are doing sensational. With a saga developing behind the scenes, we're here to break it all down today. So as per, smash a like on this video if you do enjoy it, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Help your boy on the road to 300,000 subscribers. But starting off with Arsenal's £50 million saga. In the summer when Mikel Arteta is trying to evolve the Arsenal midfield, with all the uncertainty around the future of Thomas Partey, the arrival of Martin Zubimendi has been a long time coming. A deal that reports confirmed all the way back in January. Arsenal had agreed and got the job done. So after dropping a masterclass of Spain in the Nation League's final, once again showing the entire world the quality that Arsenal are about to get, let's just say there's been a lot of noise coming out of Spain. Despite Fabrizio Romano confirming time and time again, Martin Zubimendi has agreed everything with Arsenal. Both clubs have exchanged documents. At the moment, Arsenal are convinced Zubimendi will be their player. According to a report from Marca just the day before the final, Real Madrid called Martin Zubimendi's camp in the last hours and asked if the Arsenal deal was done. The answer they received was no, followed by another report that caused even more mayhem from a fairly reliable Spanish journalist, saying Martin Zubimendi to Arsenal was almost done, but a call from Real Madrid has now changed everything. The situation is now open. Why is it that every single Spanish report sounds like a fan fiction? The drama in how they word it, especially when it comes to Real Madrid. We saw it back in the Champions League and the whole remontada tour. There's something that Real Madrid have over the Spanish media, whether it's Florentino Perez being clever behind the scenes. His use of the media is so obvious and you cannot be fooled by it. So with a very reliable hand of Arsenal coming out once again and saying Zubimendi will be joining Arsenal Football Club pending a medical, stop reacting to everything and anything. People were starting to wonder, was a deal done? Despite it, here we go. Were Arsenal about to witness a Real Madrid hijack? Well, hand of Arsenal spoke once again, reporting that tomorrow there will be a potential front page of Marca, a Madrid-led news station, with the plaster of Operation Zubimendi as the front cover. I'll tell you in advance to be at ease. Raise your words, not your voice. It is the rain that grows flowers, not thunder. And just before you knew it, Marca dropped the headline, with Zubimendi as the front page, with a quote of Zubimendi listens to Real Madrid. First things first, I have to say this is serious ITK business. Not even in the days of the ASC bell do we see this level. So with the hand of Arsenal once again baiting at the Real Madrid media, we then got a David Ornstein confirmation, confirming that Arsenal regards Zubimendi's move from Real Sociedad as done and signed. The 26-year-old Spain midfielder is expected to report at the start of pre-season, and that will be with Arsenal. Real Madrid sources say that Real Madrid never actively pursued the situation, and for some Arsenal fans that may have listened to the noise, a moment of ease. The £55 million deal that Arsenal had agreed is still set to go ahead and Zubimendi will be an Arsenal player. The impact of course is yet to be seen, but with all the noise coming out of Madrid, the amount of hype behind the player, after the departure of a long-time generational midfielder Luka Modric, the fact that Real Madrid wanted Zubimendi so badly further shows the quality of player that Arsenal are truly getting. But talking of the Arsenal midfielders, we also got yet another Martin Erdigard masterclass, as Norway beat Estonia 1-0 to win their 4th consecutive World Cup qualifier. Erdigard dropping yet another 8.1 rating, 111 touches, 82 accurate passes, 3 key passes and 1 big chance created. A major part in the goal itself scored by Erling Haaland that was almost made by Martin Erdigard. Another example of Erdigard thriving with the runner in behind. We've talked about the glimpses going forward into next season. How will Erdigard be alongside a Sesko or Gyökeres? For a player that still dropped 22 goals and assists in a season that he missed 3 months due to an injury, numbers that are still decent despite being nowhere near his best. In the last 2 games for Norway, the key thing for me has been, we've still seen Erdigard playing his all-phase role, free-flowing across the pitch. But when you've got Declan Rice alongside Martin Zubimendi, the base of the Arsenal midfield will be secure. In terms of the build-up phase, Arsenal will have one of the best in the league. That's where the question goes towards Martin Erdigard. Can you thrive higher in the pitch? Can you dictate the final third? And most importantly, can you provide Arsenal consistent game-breaking moments? You also had 3 separate Arsenal players involved for England. Miles Lewis-Skelly, Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka all starting, as England lost 3-1 to Senegal, in a game where nearly every single England player struggled. But under brand new coach Thomas Tuchel, it seems like some players are struggling to adapt. But on the bright side, this being their final game of the season, for the likes of Saka and Rice, an end to a long season, and some much needed time to recharge. Now let's talk about the future of a certain Arsenal left back. No, we're not talking about Kieran Tierney after his confirmed return back to Celtic. We're actually talking the future of Alexander Zinchenko. with only 1 year left on his Arsenal contract. Massive doubts over his future at the Emirates Stadium. According to reports in Italy, with the possibility of Theo Hernandez leaving AC Milan, the Rossoneri are evaluating a move for Alexander Zinchenko, alongside the confirmed interest of Borussia Dortmund all the way back in January. The question is less about Zinchenko having his suitors, but more towards how much are Arsenal going to demand. With the reported price tag of €20 million back in January, no team came in, provided that money, and no deal was done. So will Arsenal become more lenient for a player that may not be a guaranteed starter at Arsenal, but having seen the impact of what he made for Arsenal when he came into the side? Arsenal struggling from top 4 to fighting for a title. Now Zinchenko was on job for his country, scoring a fantastic 75th minute volley to win the game for Ukraine 2-1, having now scored 2 times in a row for his country. This will still be a useful profile, and in the Serie A, less running, more time on the ball, Zinchenko could actually be very suited. But in terms of Arsenal defenders, what about the incomings? Well, according to the Gunner blog, Arsenal made a significant effort to lure Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth, but the Spanish international ultimately chose Real Madrid. If Arsenal do now enter the defender market, one man high up on the list is Marc Guéhi. The 24-year-old has a year remaining on his contract, which could make him considerably more affordable. The issue may be whether Guéhi is prepared to join Arsenal, where he must compete for a place alongside the established pair of Gabriel and Saliba in a World Cup year. In terms of the profile, it does make a lot of sense. 24 years of age with a vast amount of Premier League experience, a player that has played for England at the highest stage at the Euros. With only 1 year left on his contract, this could be a fantastic market opportunity. But the issue that Arsenal are always going to have when it comes to new centre-back signings: how do they overcome Saliba and Gabriel, 2 players that have become undisputed starters? Guéhi, a player that played 13 times for England in 2024, finally breaking into the starting 11, thriving at Euro 2024. When it comes to backup centre-backs, you're going to always have to make a sacrifice. Either go for a young player that's willing to wait, or for a cheaper, more experienced player that's happy to be called upon when needed. When it comes to Marc Guéhi, a player in the peak of his powers, if the likes of Newcastle can call him, they can guarantee him a starting place. Unless Arsenal are close to losing Jakub Kiwior, I don't think a brand new centre-back will be a priority, unless of course a market opportunity arises. But moving on to Arsenal's forward offer, when it comes to the wide forwards, we talked about so many different targets. Arsenal have announced the official departure of Marquinhos, joining Cruzeiro on a permanent deal, alongside an update on the future of Reece Nelson, after a loan spell at Fulham that was hampered by a hamstring injury. According to the Gunner blog, Fulham are still interested in bringing Reece Nelson back if an appropriate deal can be reached. But the only thing that Arsenal fans will care about is the incomings. And let's just say we've got some surprising reports to break down. Starting off with Man United's Alejandro Garnacho. According to reliable reports in Argentina, the 2 clubs that are following the Garnacho situation are Chelsea and Arsenal, with Chelsea being first and Arsenal being second, a deal that would cause so much controversy, and rightly so. Garnacho might be a player that in my eyes is a bit overhated. I definitely don't think he's as bad as some people make him out to be, but for the quality that Arsenal are looking for, a player to come into the starting 11 and fight for a title, Alejandro Garnacho is nowhere near that quality. For me, these could be agent-led reports, trying to make Garnacho look like an in-demand player. But one player that Arsenal definitely do have interest in, Bayern Munich's Leroy Sané, who according to Fabrizio Romano, is expected to be back for the Bayern squad for the FIFA Club World Cup. His future is not clear yet, with several approaches and proposals on the table, including a new deal from Bayern. A player that will be a free agent come the start of July, whether it's reports in Germany or the UK. Sané is definitely an opportunity that Arsenal are looking at, with the reports in Turkey also confirming Arsenal will make Sané an offer. But Arsenal are not the only team after it, with the likes of Fenerbahce and Galatasaray also looking at the player. According to reports in Germany, Sané has 4 different written offers. Fenerbahce, who are offered the most money, a Bayern extension that might be rejected, a move to Galatasaray that may be very complicated, then an offer from Arsenal with the least amount of wages. If they can raise them, Sané will be theirs. When it comes to Sané, the only way this deal happens is if Arsenal see him as a third potential attacker. With all the reports that Arsenal are looking for a backup of Bukayo Saka, as long as it doesn't affect the pursuits of Rodrigo or Benjamin Sesko, Sané could be a solid third attacking signing. With a breaking exclusive from Florian Plettenberg, Leroy Sané will not extend his contract with Bayern Munich and will leave the club on a free transfer. According to more reports coming out of Turkey, Sané is on the close to signing a 3-year deal with Turkish side Galatasaray. With a host of options available in Europe, from the likes of Bradley Barcola at PSG, Rafael Leao at AC Milan, as well as the long pursuit of Nico Williams, moves are definitely being made, but not at the moment by Arsenal, because according to Florian Plettenberg, Bradley Barcola is FC Bayern's top target in their own search for a high-profile left winger. It will be difficult to realise, but Bayern are actively exploring a potential transfer for the 22-year-old Frenchman. If a move for Barcola proves impossible, Nico Williams is a top alternative, with other options also open, including Kairo Matoma, Rafael Leao and Cody Gakpo. Players that Arsenal surely also have interest in. The question then becomes, will Bayern be Arsenal's main competitors? Because as Florian Plettenberg now confirms, with an uncertain move for Bradley Barcola, FC Bayern have intensified talks over Nico Williams in recent days, with meetings and discussions for a player that has a €60 million release clause, alongside very high wage demands, currently earning €78 million net per year. A player that Mikel Arteta has lacked for a very long time, with even whispers going all the way back in January, claiming that Arsenal was still holding meetings to try to convince the player to come to the Emirates Stadium. If buying of a team that are now advancing there, could Arsenal also turn to Rafael Leao, a player that reportedly Andrea Berta is a massive fan of, but according to Ben Jacobs, he is also a concrete target for Al Nassr. Milan would consider a sale of €80 million plus, but it's unclear if Leao is open to Saudi, despite being on Al Nassr's list. A lot of names that have popped up, a lot of names that are interesting, but the most in-demand player that we have to talk about is Real Madrid's Rodrigo, confirmed by the hand of Arsenal to be Arsenal's #1 wide forward target for a player that's now returned to full Real Madrid training ahead of the FIFA Club World Cup. According to recent reports coming out of Spain, Rodrigo has been approached by Premier League clubs, with Mikel Arteta convinced that he would have a big role at Arsenal. The player will now speak to Real Madrid and Xavi Alonso to express that he wants to feel important and that he feels most comfortable as left wing. A theme that has been very common in every single report is the fact that Rodrigo wants to play on the left-hand side, an area where Real Madrid already have Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe. That's why I believe a departure is almost certain, especially after Real Madrid got a here we go for Argentine youngster Franco Mastentuao. Signing another wide forward is surely another example to Rodrigo that he is not being appreciated. So when it comes to a move to Arsenal, there was a report that was doing rounds on Twitter, a Real Madrid content creator claiming Rodrigo will leave Real Madrid this season. Mastentuao joining was a key factor to him being sold. Now that the Argentinian is here, the club and player are ready to part ways. According to his sources, Rodrigo will be an Arsenal player very soon. Of course, Arsenal fans are asking how reliable is this guy? Do we even believe these reports? For me, I am simply waiting for the main guys to report it. Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, hand of Arsenal. For as much as that guy could have got right in the past, all of this is noise until we get the big boys reporting it. In terms of one pursuit that Arsenal are advancing in though, what's happening with Benjamin Sesko? A player that has confirmed by Ryan Taylor Sports won't play for Slovenia against Bosnia, as Leipzig asked to leave the player out to avoid injury, with Arsenal set for fresh talks this week, alongside a report from Simon Collins, claiming that Arsenal are still discussing with RB Leipzig for Benjamin Sesko, but the Germans are holding firm on his £70 million valuation, but a deal that has also seen a bit of a twist. As reported by James Bench, Al Hilal are yet to abandon their fading hope to sign Victor Osimhen in time for the Club World Cup, but if they fail to do so, Benjamin Sesko is the next target. It remains to be seen if the player will be tempted by the Saudi Pro League, but as then confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, Saudi Pro League clubs have approached Benjamin Sesko in recent hours with important proposals. Understanding Sesko's priority is still to continue Europe at this stage, with talks to follow in the next days. As confirmed by Sam Dean, Arsenal are now in battle with two different Saudi clubs for the pursuit of Benjamin Sesko. The striker's preference is to remain in Europe, but Saudi interest could drive up the asking price. And it's that last point for me that is the most important. Is this RB Leipzig being clever, with Arsenal standing still on the valuation, trying to get the player for £60 million? Leipzig, with no Champions League football, still are looking for close to £80 million, which was all then confirmed by the very reliable hand of Arsenal, providing a massive report in terms of the striker context. On Sesko, as he says, Arsenal have been in talks to Sesko's camp for 2 years now. Let me explain the internal situation, which they don't want to be made public. Leipzig need to sell immediately. They are in advanced talks with a new coach and also want to plan their own summer transfer window. As you all know, with no Champions League money, it has made them desperate, and Andrea Berta is well aware. Director of football Marcel Seifer has been briefing journalists to sensationalise these talks, further briefing them over the weekend about Leipzig being calm when they are far from it to posture publicly. I can tell you firsthand, they intentionally leaked the Saudi interest as a last ditch to hurry Arsenal. Despite Sam Dean being spot on about 2 Saudi clubs being in for him, as far as I'm aware, personal terms are not agreed, but they won't be an issue. The player has personally told Arteta that is ready to lead the line at Arsenal and wants to remain in Europe as first choice, with Ollie Watkins seen as a fail-safe option. To me, this is all simple negotiations. Leipzig have their price tag and Arsenal have theirs, so of course you're going to get reports from 2 different parties, with the whole idea of coming to a compromise, a deal that suits all parties. The fact that Sesko still wants to remain in Europe is going to be massive. Another advantage for Arsenal to get the deal on their own terms. Now, according to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal are in advanced talks with RB Leipzig and Benjamin Sesko's agent, who is currently in England. He is their main striker target and prefers to stay in Europe despite Saudi Arabia interest. But at the same time, what's happening with Victor Gyökeres, a player as confirmed by hand of Arsenal, still seen as an option by Andrea Berta. According to Fabrizio Romano, it's actually Man United that keep calling Gyökeres on a daily basis, with Juve and Al Hilal having also called in the last 48 hours to be informed of the situation. Arsenal contacts are ongoing since May, but Sesko is now advancing. Gyökeres is a player that by the Arsenal fan base is very much loved. When you ask most Arsenal fans about who they prefer, Gyökeres seems to be the name over Sesko. But the thing that is most confusing to me, with Arsenal, Liverpool and so many other top clubs around Europe looking for a striker, why is Victor Gyökeres not the #1 target? Because going off the path if a player is wanted by Man United, it's not always the best of signs. But when it comes to Arsenal, the remainder of this week is going to be massive. especially after Fabrizio Romano dropped the bomber. Florian Wirtz Liverpool, here we go, with Liverpool dropping a whopping 150 million euros, breaking the Premier League record. For as much as we don't want to focus on other clubs, fans definitely do. The question now falls to Arsenal: can you close your deals, get the Sesko deal done as soon as possible, and then try to secure Rodrigo? But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all over social medias, and the links are down below in the description. But that was all of your latest Arsenal transfer news today, as the Sesko deal still is at the advanced stage, but the Mendy deal is happening, so Arsenal fans there, don't panic. £55 million is being spent there, and we're going to hopefully get some striker confirmation later in this week. My friends, as always, I'll see you next time. Take care. Good bits.